Typal, 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 typal. It's always typal. Now, typal, calm down. It's not always typal. It's always typal. Typal. What's up, typals? It's your typal, the OG GM, coming to you live here. I'm drinking Mountain Dew, but right now I wish this was something stronger because, oh my giddy banding. Magic the Gathering is at it again. It wasn't well enough that they did the whole typal thing. Now they're backtracking on the whole typal thing, therefore making it worse. And the explanation for the change is really, really bizarre and bad and pretty much an outright lie. Now, when this unusual news was first broke, I spent about 17 minutes too long talking about it. And towards the end, I made two predictions. First prediction, 1, by the end of the week, somebody will be offended by this change. 2, I bet the real reason this change, if you track it all the way back to the origin, has nothing to do with the word and everything to do with Magic the Gathering's content about hateful content in the game. Somebody losing to a elf tribal deck played the I'm offended by this term card, played the Karen card, played the safety card to get that tribal enchantment removed so they wouldn't lose. So those are my two predictions. Well, prediction 1 is true, and prediction 2 is most likely true. We'll get back to that in a minute. So right now we have an interview with the guy who made the change, Mark Rosewater. Mark Rosewater has been, I guess, something in charge with Magic. He's the head honcho of Magic. I don't know. So he's been asked, why change something that has been in the game for as long as the game has existed and it was never broken and nobody complained about it? Why change it? Well, first, here we go. We stopped using the word tribal in R&D as numerous consultants have stressed that it carries a negative connotation. No, it doesn't. In fact, research shows the word typal has a more negative connotation than the word tribal. No member of a tribe anywhere has ever said, I am offended for being part of my tribe. In fact, they go out of their way to show pride, as DM Kurt showed us in his example today in referring to tribes. You know, tribes speak about it all the time. Let us go to the tribal center for the elderly and fight for the rights that the tribal elders will still get the same benefits they got a year ago at the tribal center. So yeah, no one's ashamed or upset about that. Whatever. Again, I'm guessing, and based upon the people I spoke to, turns out I'm probably right. The reason was this change has nothing to do with somebody being offended by the word. Moving on. Why am I doing this with my hand? Okay, so next up, the word tribal has never been used in the game. The word tribe has never been used in the game. It's always been a behind-the-scene term, according to Mark here, and that, you know, it's a word they've never used. You know, it's like a behind-the-scenes word. Like, these are all members of the Llanowar elf tribe. This is a tribal enchantment. Okay, so, but according to him, where is he said, you can still use the term tribal if you want. The only in-game difference it could make is if cards that mention tribal by name get reprinted in the future. If they do, they might say typal instead, like Blister Blossom says tribal. Now, Mark says that there are no cards that say tribal. It's a term that they've never used on a card. This, of course, is an outright lie, as he then says the example card Blister Blossom, which says right there tribal. Plus, there is the Llanowar tribe, the Orc tribe. It's a word you've used for a while, Mark, so you should probably know your own content. But we're going to ignore that because he was probably rushed and he's probably flustered. So all those people who made those statements on Monday about get used to it, it's now being called typal instead of tribal. And if you don't like it, you're racist, you know, move on. Magic the Gathering's more sensitive. Well, according to Mark today, no. They never meant that. They're not changing it. You can still call it tribal if you want. they're still referring it to tribal. Of course, Mark also says they never use the term, and then goes on to say, oh yeah, here's an example of the use of the term. I assume Mark is drinking from the same Kool-Aid that everybody else at Hasbro is drinking at, and the people at Renegade Press are also drinking at. So as of today, all those people who are trying to be all smug about the fact that Magic the Gathering was changing the term tribal to typal, well, you have no reason to be smug because it's not changed, okay? No cards are magically changed. The tribal enchantments are still legal. The term tribal is still legal. Nothing will change. Does it mean they will change it in the future? Maybe, but they are already receiving backlash for the change because it turns out the word, which so far nobody has been able to find any actual modern use for, the closest is some person that I said that it might be an engineering term. In response to like, oh, that is a typal reaction. I mean, when name one time ever you have heard that word in a conversation from the day you first began to understand conversations till today, please name anybody. No, all kidding aside, please give me an example of you heard typal, not typical, typal used in a sentence. Oh, that is a typal example. How are you feeling today? Typal. Oh, this is a typal member of this tribe, brand, whatever. Typal nasty weather? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So, yeah, that is where it stands today, according to Mark, in regards to, well, we're not changing it officially. It's just an internal change. If you want to still use tribal, you can. We know, that people might get angry at you, but Wizards isn't banning the word. Wizards isn't changing it. And more importantly, the tribal enchantments, as of this point in time, aren't being changed, and the tribal decks aren't being changed. Why is this important? Well, as I said in my prediction regarding this word, I guessed, it took me about 17 minutes to make the connection because I was off, but my theory is, as you know, Wizards of the Coast has this hateful content blanket clause now, and this safety tools blanket clause. You can use safety tools at Magic the Gathering. You can use safety tools in a D&D game. No hateful content. Somebody was playing a Magic the Gathering game against somebody with a tribal deck, most likely a tribal green elf deck, because back when I still played Magic the Gathering, tribal green elf decks were just unbeatable. If you had one green mana in play, you pretty much won. Because once that tribal popper elf green got started going, it didn't stop. And since then, apparently, from people I've spoken to who still play Magic, yeah, it is one of the top builds, along with like the vampire tribal. And the tribal enchantments make those decks even more powerful. So I predicted somebody was playing against a tribal deck, most likely a tribal green deck. They were losing. They realized that if the tribal enchantment was removed, they might have a chance to win. So they played the safety tools card. I'm offended by the word tribal. This card needs to be removed because I'm offended. I'm playing my X card. And the referee, not wanting to cause any social justice uproar, said that according to the Wizards of the Coast hateful content blanket thing, that card was removed, which then probably allowed the other person to either possibly win or at least stand a better chance of winning. Now, that's what I predicted on Monday. On Tuesday, while the power was out and I had nothing else to do, I asked some of my friends who still play Magic if that was the most likely scenario. I asked 5 different people, including the Magic judge who judges the Friday Night Magic at one of the local game stores here, if this was likely. And based upon what I said, and based upon everything they knew, and based upon everything they've seen, including people doing things similar to what I suggested, while there is no 100% proof that this is what happened, based upon all the evidence, it is likely, based upon witnessed encounters, based upon the blanket Magic the Gathering Wizards of the Coast hateful content, clause, safety tools bullshit, my theory is most likely correct. That is probably what happened, or some variation of what happened. somebody became upset because they were losing, played the safety tools card. I'm offended by the word tribal. You have to remove that card. And the judge, probably being inexperienced, let it happen. And then somehow that choice worked its way up the Magic the Gathering Wizards of the Coast line. And they said, wow, people are insulted by this word. I mean, mind you, in the 30 some odd years the game's been around, it's never been mentioned before or since. And nobody I know is offended by the word tribal, but in the off chance somebody is, we need to still be good guys. So let's change the word tribal to Typal. And anybody who uses the word tribal is offensive. Well, within 48 hours of being told that, people who are in actual tribes started saying, no, you need to change that. And as a matter of fact, based upon what little evidence we have, the word Typal is probably more offensive than the word tribal, because Typal means typical. And it's a term that came out in the 1800s, 1858 to be exact. Considering the mindset of 1858 people, chances are the term was a derogatory term for, oh yeah, he's a typical example of his race. But typical became Typal because Lord knows why. And then it stuck around for like 10 minutes. Mind you, I'm still waiting for somebody to present me with an example that word is used in modern everyday conversations in any shape: military, engineering, science, education, gang speak. I don't care. If you can find it used in daily conversations in any walk of life or any job or whatever, please let me know. Because as far as I know, until Monday, I had never heard that word. And I could find no examples of it. Only one person went, I think it's an engineering word, but I'm not sure. And a couple other people said, yeah, it's probably a derogatory term considering it's from the 1850s. And the actual tribe members who have become aware of it have said, no, Wizards of the Coast, we are kind of offended by this. Meanwhile, all evidence points to the fact that my theory about why it was changed is probably the reason why it was changed. In closing, is it going to change officially in the next printing of Magic? Assuming there is going to be a next printing of Magic in 2024? Maybe, maybe not. Is anybody going to care? Within a week, is anybody going to care other than the non-Magic playing virtue signalers who posted the condescending little comments on Monday and then turned out you were wrong. You were wrong. Hey, yes, you who kept saying big win, Wizards is finally changing. Oh, look at us. We're all virtue signaling, blah, blah, blah. It's now officially changed. Well, no, it's not officially changed. In-house, they claim they're now using the word Typal instead of tribal. But as far as the rules of the game are concerned, sorry, Susan. Sorry, Veruca. Sorry, Scotty. If that tribal enchantment that's going to let that guy win is in play, you cannot play the, oh, I'm offended card, because the official Magic the Gathering guy has said, no, it's still legal. Suck it. And that's it. That's hopefully all we have to say about the Typal. I have done the work for you, so you don't have to. Now you can move on with your day knowing, thank you once again, DM, OGGM, for taking the blow for us so we don't have to. Thank you for digging through all that nonsense so we don't have to. We appreciate that you sacrifice your brain every day trying to claw through the Wizards of the Coast nonsense to present us with something that vaguely resembles sense, but not really, because nothing Wizards of the Coast is doing anymore makes sense other than Scott Steiner math. So, Scott Steiner math. You may now go about your day knowing that I have hopefully chipped away at the mystery of Typal, and by this time Friday, we will never hear this word ever again. Or if we do, we can just mock them and go, no, Mark says you're wrong. Till then, I'm the OGGM. If you appreciate the nonsense that comes out of my mouth, let me know. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, take a moment, subscribe. It costs you nothing and it helps me immensely. Help me reach 2,000 subs by the end of the year. But more importantly, this guy, subscribe to him. He needs 1,000 subs. This guy, yeah, DM Kurt, he's amazing. And this guy, subscribe to him too. Yeah. Till next time, I'll talk to you later, you Typal examples of wonderful people, you.